What comes to your mind when you read this? I'm Cody Leibelt, and I want to know how you would answer. It's a quote from Matthew Kelly. He writes, "Most people overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a month. We overestimate what we can do in a year and underestimate what we can accomplish in a decade." What comes to mind as you think about that quote? Is it true? Is it true that in certain time segments you tend to be disappointed in yourself because you think you should have been able to accomplish more? Also, is it true that if you looked at certain other time segments, you actually can accomplish more than you might imagine? The way he said it was day, and then month, and then he said year and decade. It's like we set our sights too high about what a day or a year ought to be, but if you think about it in terms of months or decades, for some reason that changes the way you perceive it. When I read that quote, what came to your mind as far as what you're trying to accomplish in life? Whether it would be to find a spouse or to grow your career, to make certain social connections that you've been wanting to make, to be a certain place financially, as far as owning a house or being able to build something. What goals are you looking at right now? And is it true, if you were to plug that goal into this maxim, is it true that the days don't bring as much return as we would expect, but perhaps in a month we could bring quite a bit? Is it true that over a period of a year, we anticipate that we could be so much farther ahead than we end up being, but over a period of a decade, so much can shift, unbelievably so? I think it's correct. The goals that I'm working on are building my podcast, video channel. So that's one thing. It has a financial component to it as well. So it's getting the audience to be bigger, but also getting income from doing the work. And both of those, we've seen growth over time. There's ups and downs and ups and downs, but overall growth to the point where I know it's worth it to do the work. So that's one goal. And I would say that what Matthew Kelly said is true for what I'm talking about. Other goals that I would have are seeing my kids mature. I homeschool them, so I have an 8-year-old right now and a 6-year-old. They're both in 2nd grade because of the homeschool situation. I'm able to do both at the same time, same grade level. And I'm seeing them mature as far as their intellect, as far as their communication, as far as their understanding of spiritual things and their personal maturity. These are things that on the day-to-day they sometimes wear at you because you see that they're not maturing. But if you look at it from a period of a month, you might see a significant change. 10 years ago, I didn't have either of these kids. What a change that is. I remember before I ever met my wife, Sasha, someone told me that they believed that soon in my life there was going to be a huge amount of blessings. I was a charismatic Christian, and I don't agree with all of the theology there, or even maybe agree with what they think of their ability to see the future. But something about my connection with this man, he looked at me and he understood enough about who I was as a person that he understood that I was about to hit an inflection point in my life. And he was right. Within months of him saying that, I had met my wife. And within a year and a half, I had moved across the country in order to pursue studies in worship leadership at a seminary. Changed the whole direction of my career, and I was able to have a family. We don't always see how things are going to turn out. And so, I have younger friends, I'm 38, but I have younger friends who will tell me they're frustrated because they're not yet married or because their career is not yet where they want it to be. And I'm not just talking about one, I'm talking about several friends that often talk with me about this. And everybody has frustrations, no matter what point of life you're at. But I want you to know that your life direction does tend to get easier as you make more choices and as more of those branches that you see in your potential future get hacked off and the remaining branches become more clear. Certain doors are now closed, but you have the open door that you want to go through. You are always facing challenges at no matter what stage you're in, and The hardest thing is when you're at a place before an inflection point and you don't know if it's going to be 6 months or 6 years or 6 decades until the thing happens that you're working for. I hope you'll understand, though, that that feeling of being stuck does not last forever. You keep making progress toward your goals.